Good morning, folks. So the Norwich tie is back, the Norwich cufflinks are back. Can only mean one thing: we've made it to Friday again, which is great. Back in the day, Cadbury's used to say thank Crunchy it's Friday as part of their advertising campaign, but I'm not saying that today. I'm saying thank you Terry's chocolate oranges, and a special certain someone who is responsible for it, because I'm going to have a little bit of that to celebrate my Friday with. Now we're going to start off with a little puzzle for you to do. You are going to need to put the numbers from 1 to 9 in once. The numbers 6 and 9 have already been placed. I will show you what I'm talking about. Right, so here's our puzzle. This doesn't count as the number 9 and number 4. The numbers 1 to 9, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boxes there. 6 and 9 have been placed already, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 and 8 need to go somewhere in these others. Bid mass is not relevant. We work from left to right, and we work from top to bottom, whatever it says. So it'll be a number added to 9 and then multiplied by 4 something gets us 44. So this is what we get to in each zone. So pause the video and see what you can do. I recommend you start trying to find this number. So a number multiplied by 9 that you times by 6 to get 84. Well, how many 6s make 84? 6 goes once into 8 with 2 left over, and 4 6s make 24, so it must be 14. So I need 14 to be times by 6. 9 add 5 is 14. So I know I've got that one there. Now, I'm going to end up with something being take 5 and then multiplied by something is going to get me 9. Well, it's what could it be? I suppose it could be something times by, if I ended up with 3, 8 take 5 is 3, times 3 would be 9, or it could be 1 times that. But it can't be because of that, so I think it must be that. 8 take 5 equals 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Right, so what numbers have we got left now? Because that's going to be important, isn't it? We've got 1, 2, 4, and 7. So those 4 numbers are the only numbers that we need to, that we can use. So 8 divided by something and then divided by something is 4. Well, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So if we're going to divide it twice, the only number that keeps things the same is 1. So it's going to be 8 divided by 1 divided by 2, or 8 divided by 2 divided by 1. Now, here we are going to have something, this plus something times by something is 44. Well, 44 I know is 4 times 11. So maybe these two numbers need to add up to 11, times it by 4, 9 add 2 is 11, divide by 1, hopefully I've not gone too early here, 3, we've got a 7 left over here. 3 take 4, well that's negative 1. Negative 1 times 7, that is negative 7. That's good. 1 take 6 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 7, well 7 5s are 35, so negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. And we've cracked it. Well done us. Right, time to move on and start looking at what happens to units when you square them. So what happens if I've got 10 centimeters times by 10 centimeters? Right, so what was it I just said? How many centimeters squared will there be in a 10 centimeter square? Right, you might just think 10, yeah? A 10 square centimeter, a square that is 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. But it's actually a lot more than that. So let's have a little look at what it is I'm talking about. Because sometimes a picture is a lot clearer than a few words. So that's 10 centimeters long, yeah. And I'll just make a little mark at all of the centimeters so that we don't get confused with the half centimeters, because my paper has got ½ centimetre squares on it. Now my square is going all the way down to here. So a 10 centimetre square. How many square centimetres are there in a 10 centimetre square? Because this here is 1 centimetre square, isn't it? And just across the top, I hope you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah? So in a 10 centimetre by 10 centimetre square, I'm actually going to have 2 rows of 10 to get me to there. So that will make 20. A third row will make 30. A fourth row will make 40, and so on. Just as the area of a square is the length times the width, if I've got a 10 centimetre by 10 centimetre, I've got 10 centimetres squared times by 10 centimetres squared. So 10 times 10 equals 100 centimetres squared. I've got another question we could have on here. How many millimetres squared are there in 100 centimetres squared? So I've got my 100 centimetres squared. It's the whole of this big. How many square millimetres are there? Now here's centimetres. Millimetres are very closely related to them. There's 10 in each one, so it's very easy to go from centimetres to millimetres. All you have to do is times by 10. But if I've got this one going all the way along here, this is, we could now say 100 millimetres. We could say that this here is 100 millimetres. So the area in terms of millimetres is 100 by 100, which is 10,000 millimetres squared. Interesting. So how many 1 square centimetre equals how many square millimetres? Have a think about that. 1 square centimetre is looking like that, and it's 10 millimetres across, 10 millimetres down, so 10 squared is 100. So 1 centimetre squared is 100 square millimetres. So what this means is, if you know how many centimetres squared something is, and you're asked to convert it into millimetres squared, you times by 100. So if, for example, you're told something is 5.2 centimetres squared, that would be 5.2 times 100 equals 520 square millimetres. And if you were going from square millimetres into square centimetres, you would have to divide by 100. Alright, a little bit of a slightly different method here. I'm going to ask the question by writing it. So I've got my phone there, folks. How many centimetres squared are there in 1 square metre? Now, before you answer this question, I'd like you to do a little sketch of a square metre, and then I'd like you to put down each side, like that, how many centimetres that is, and then think about how you would work out the area. You should have 100 centimetres and 100 centimetres. So your 1 square metre is going to be, in terms of centimetres, remember the area of any rectangle or square is the length times the width. That's something you learnt in primary school. That might seem a simple fact, but this is not simple. To think a square metre is not 100 square centimetres, it's 100 times 100, the length times the width. Centimetres times centimetres gives us 10,000 centimetres squared. So that's a lot, isn't it? And when it gets onto volume, which we will do another time, the factor at which it gets bigger gets another 10 times bigger. So that will be interesting, or another 100 times bigger in terms of centimetres. If you are able to print off the worksheet, that would be awesome, because otherwise it's going to be a bit tricky. And you also need a ruler, because this will come up in the exam and you'll be given accurate scale drawings. It says the accurate scale drawing shows a small box and a large box. The small box has a real height of 20 centimetres. Find an estimate for the real height of the large box. Well, the first thing I need to do is measure in centimetres the small box, and that looks like 1.4 centimetres to me. So they're saying that the real height is 20 centimetres. So what I want to know, and let's also measure the large box whilst I'm at it. The large box is 7.3, I think, or is it even, yeah, oh, how many is that? That's, yeah, 7.3 centimetres. Go as close as you can. They always let you off a millimetre here or there in the exam. Now, if this is meant to be 20 centimetres, I need to know how many times bigger I need to make it. And in order to do that, I need to divide the 20 by the 1.4, because that will give me how many times bigger the small box is in reality. Now, this will probably come up in the calculator paper, so I'm going to say you can have a calculator for this. And so all we do, 20 divided by 1.4 is 100 over 7, whatever that is. You know, it doesn't even matter, because 7 doesn't go in nicely. And then all I've got to do is, for my estimate, do 7.3 times 100 over 7. Which is 104.3 centimetres. So estimate for the height of the large box, I could say 104 centimetres. Now, if this had come up in a non-calculator paper, the fact that that's near to 1.5 would do. And you're just thinking about how many times bigger it is. You could, in fact, say 1 plus 2, 3, it's like 4.5 times the size, isn't it? So you could just do 20 times 4.5. 20 times 4 is 80, half of 20 is 10, so that would get you about 90 centimetres. And that would do then as well. It's an estimate, it's not an exact thing. Although, right. But we're going to stay in the world of if this is a calculator paper, because I think it probably would be as we go. But as it is a bit, they're not exact about telling you exactly which papers things can come up in. But I would have thought that's what this would be. Now it says the height of the garage, the real height is 2.4 meters. So I'm going to do the measuring for you in case you haven't got a ruler. If you have, then check it for yourself, and I'm reckoning that we have got 1.7 centimeters. So pause the video and see if you can work it out. If you haven't got a ruler and you want me to measure the the height in real meters of the house going all the way to the top here. That looks like 7.3 centimeters again. Right, so 1.7, 2.4 meters. If you just pretend that we just treat, we can just say that 1.7 is going to be sort of equaling is in ratio to our 2.4. So what do you times 1.7 by to get 2.4? So you're going to do 2.4 divided by 1.7 in your calculator. 2.4 divided by 7 gives us, oh, that's horrible, isn't it? So let's just keep it as a fraction, 24 over 17. And now all I've got to do is do 7.3 times 24 over 17. And in fact, if I just press times, it says ants. That means it will be doing that as my number. Times that by 7.3. And it gives me that, which I will now turn into, and that's giving me 10.3. So I'm going for 10.3 meters. Right, we're going to just do 2 more questions today, and then we'll look at some more of these next time. So the car has a real height of 1.5 meters. Estimate the length of the car. So 1.5, and we've got, well, it's close, it's sort of 2.9, but it's close. It is an estimate. It's very close to 3 there, isn't it? So it is going to be almost double, isn't it? But I'm still going to measure it accurately. It says it's about 2.9 centimeters. So yeah, that's very close. It is an estimate. So height is about 3 centimeters, and that is times 2. So all I'm going to do is measure the length here and double it. Now it's about 8.5, isn't it? It's pretty much spot on. 8.5 times 2. Hang on. What do we do by 3 to get it in meters? I've gone the wrong way, haven't I? I need to divide my 3 centimeters by 2 to get 1.5. So if I divide 8.5 by 2, I get 4.25 meters, just about. And that seems about right for a car, doesn't it? Quite a large car, 4.25 meters. If it had been the other way and I'd times it by 2, 16 meters, that would be ridiculous. That's longer than a classroom. Right, final question. Here's an accurate drawing of a field. It's got a real length of 67.5 meters. We need an estimate for the real perimeter of the field. So we know that our perimeter is going to be 67.5 plus the width, and then we times it by 2, don't we? So let's work out what we've got by measuring the width first of all. So pause it, have a go, see where you get on that. Right, so I've got 8.75 centimeters there, and I got 3.9 over there. So I'm going to do 67.5 divided by 8.75 in my calculator, but I'm not just going to do it there. I'm going to leave it here so that I get working marks. Divided by 8.75 is equal to 54 over 7, and that's giving me 7. Well, let's just keep it as 54 over 7. So I need to times that by 54 over 7, don't I? So if I just press times, it'll do the answer times 3.9, and that's giving me that, which I then press S to D, because I do want to know this is a norm, is 30.08. Well, that's close enough to be 30 meters. So I'm going to call that 30 meters. So I'm going to have 67.5 plus 30, which I then double. So that's going to be 2 times 97.5, which is about 97.5 times 2 is 195 meters altogether. Time's up for today, so we will continue with the rest of this sheet next time, and then I'll give you a little question to have a go at and upload to me then. Alright, well done folks, you've been great. Have a lovely weekend and see you on Monday.